does it feel to be the same sex as Donald Trump?
Feels fucking great. Why don't you tell me, how does it feel to have the same eye color as Jodi Arias? She got the same hair color too. I'll leave the link in the description. You'll see what I'm talking about. Get on with it.
Why do you hate rom-coms? Or do you just feel like you need to hate them? Everybody...
Alright, men generally don't like rom-coms because the majority of the time they're just literally made for women. It's like me asking why women don't like action or sci-fi movies. Even though some women do. Those genres are more or less made to appease the male viewer, for the most part. Now, I'm no expert on rom-coms, so I can only judge based on what I've seen. And from what I've seen, it's pretty clear that they are specifically custom tailored to appeal to the female viewer with little to nothing to offer the male viewer. I mean, how many rom-coms feature some poor sap of a guy who does everything he can to try to win over a girl, where he's like usually the nicest guy, who tries so hard to do the right thing, yet everything just always backfires in his face as he gets his ass kicked throughout the entire movie. And even though the girl usually has no consideration for his feelings whatsoever, somehow in the end it's always him who has to apologize to her. Usually as he runs maniacally into the wedding chapel and tells her how he's been a huge jerk because of some ridiculous set of circumstances that he had absolutely no control over. What exactly does a movie like that have to offer for a male audience? There's nothing romantic about that, not from a guy's perspective. Every time I see situations like that in a movie, I'm always saying to myself, man, to hell with this selfish bitch already, you know? I don't know. I don't think the genre is really living up to its full potential. I have nothing against romance. I certainly have nothing against comedy. Maybe if rom-com makers made some movies where the guy isn't just one big butt of the joke throughout the whole film, in which the girl is capable of actually sympathizing with his situation, or perhaps even apologizes to him for a change, then maybe some men might be able to identify with it better. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents anyways.
Everybody likes The Notebook. Everybody likes Beyonce. It's just a fact.
Now there's facts, and then there's projecting your shitty opinions onto the rest of the world. What you just did was project your shitty opinions onto the rest of the world. And for the record, Beyonce's nothing but a big stack of dog shit. And what's the deal with that pretentious little dash at the top of the last E in her name? She's nothing but an overrated, self-righteous, pampered female supremacist who makes shitty music.
Why do you make women sit around and talk about men in movies when y'all easily just sit around and talk about boobs for hours? Why?
Who does this? The only people who talk about boobs for hours are doctors and women. Trust me, guys don't give anywhere near as much of a shit about your titties as you think they do. I've never heard a male conversation about boobs go on any longer than a minute, tops. But, hey, what the hell would I know? You're the fucking expert on men, right?
Do you automatically assume that you won't like TV or movies that star a female lead? What?
I don't. I don't automatically assume. What are you talking about?
Are you surprised when women are funny? I'm probably funnier than you.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Okay. It's surprising because it doesn't happen too frequently. And believe me, I've watched a lot of stand-up on Comedy Central over the years, and I've given plenty of women plenty of chances. And I'd say a good 85% of the female comics that I've seen were total shit. I remember back in the 90s when like every female comic was giving their lame faking orgasm joke as if they were the first ones to do it. Half the time there wasn't even any punchlines. They would just say, has anyone here ever faked an orgasm? Yeah, I did it. As if just saying that is so risque and requires no punchline at all to even make it funny.
Why do you think that we're obsessed with you when we hook up?
9 times out of 10, I just want you to leave too. I'm busy. I got shit to do.
I don't think that. Okay, the only time I think girls are obsessed with me is when they make it quite clear that they're obsessed with me. What the hell kind of loaded questions are these, really? You know, I'm really starting to get the feeling that these questions are not really questions at all, and that they're really nothing more than feminist, man-hating, misandric venom being thinly veiled as questions. So for that reason, I'm not going to go through the effort of answering any more of them. Instead, I'll just throw the same kind of offensive, sexist, passive-aggressive, loaded questions right back at you.
Why can't I sleep with as many people as I want to without being judged? When men do it, they're congratulated.
Why is it that a talented young artist in a prestigious art school gets told by his teacher that his latest sketch needs work, yet if some drooling kid with Down syndrome takes a blue crayon and draws a smiley face, he gets congratulated? Why is it that if a dog humps a girl's leg, he's funny and cute, but if a guy does it, he's a rapist? Why is it that if a woman beats a man in arm wrestling, she gets congratulated, but if a man wins, no one cares? Why are we asking unfair questions that attempt to compare two different things that have two completely different sets of variables and factors that go into them?
Why do you consider a woman a tease if she doesn't sleep with you after 3 dates, but a slut if she sleeps with you on the first date? And
why is it that if I vote Democrat, I get called a bleeding heart liberal? And if I vote Republican, I get called a bitter racist who likes to cling to guns and religion? See what I just did there? It's a verbal sleight of hand, just like what you did. Because the whole point is the people who are complaining about option A aren't the same people who are complaining about option B. Anyone can do that. With anything.
What world does no mean yes?
No means no.
Why do you like playing hard to get? Shouldn't you know that doing so is a part of rape culture? And why don't you know that no means no? You know, why don't you know how to take no for an answer when you try to push your man into having kids? No means no. You got that, little girl? No means no.
Why do you say that women are too emotional to be leaders?
then justify catcalling by saying men just can't control themselves.
Why do you think that you deserve to be treated with just as much respect as a fully grown, competent adult male, and then justify murdering your kids in the courtroom with defenses like postpartum depression, battered women's syndrome, menstruation, menopause, the devil made me do it, and a whole bunch of other bullshit excuses?
Why do you think that just because you're nice to me, I owe you my body?
Why do you think that just because we're in a relationship, I owe you my hand in marriage?
Why would you ever send an unsolicited dick pic?
Why would you ever send an unsolicited cunt pic?
Why do you feel like it's okay to harass women or make offensive comments about women, but when somebody does it to your sister, it's not okay?
Why do you feel like it's okay to make offensive comments about men, but when someone does it to your brother, it's not okay? Why do you feel like it's okay to laugh at a man who had his penis cut off when a bunch of old hags make jokes about it on TV, as if you feel as though he somehow got what he deserved. But when someone does it to your father, then all of a sudden it's not okay. Why do you feel like it's okay to rake a man through the coals in the family courts, yet when someone does it to your son, it's not okay?
How does it feel to interrupt me when I'm in the middle of making a point during a meeting?
What?
How does it feel to interrupt people every fucking time you talk, yet complain like it's this big, huge, sexist ordeal the second someone goes and does it to you?
You have to sit with your legs so wide open. I get that you have balls, but I don't stand around with my arms wide open to make room for my boobs.
Why are pregnant women always asking for all these special requests? I mean, I get it that you have a human growing in your body, but you don't see me thinking that the whole world needs to stop and revolve around me every time I feel a little bit under the weather. Yeah, that's how ridiculous, stupid, and insensitive your comment sounded.
Why are women perceived as the weaker sex? Even though we literally birth you, like watermelons, through like this.
Why do you have such a problem with being considered the weaker sex, but then immediately use your weakness to your advantage the second it comes time for things like legislations about violence against women laws, as well as emergency situations in which you use your weakness as an excuse to get rescued first? But I'm just a girl. Help me. You can't hit a girl. Guys are stronger. Why do you have such a problem with being considered the weaker sex, even though your average woman is weaker than your average man? 10 times out of 10. Why don't you know that giving birth and strength are two completely different things that have absolutely nothing to do with each other?
Why is it so bad to show your emotions?
It means you're human.
Why do you tell men that they should show their emotions more, but then use our emotions against us later on down the road as a tool for manipulation if we do?
Why are you always trying to prove your masculinity to me?
Why do you like men who are masculine?
Isn't it ladylike to cuss?
Why the fuck isn't it masculine like to cuss?
When did words get genders?
Why is it your first instinct to doubt women who have been sexually violated or raped?
Why is it your first instinct to believe women who have been sexually violated or raped? Especially considering the fact that false allegations happen so frequently. Wouldn't it be much better to not use gender as a determining factor as to whether or not you believe them? Wouldn't it be better to rely on facts while hearing out both sides with objective and unbiased ears? Wouldn't that be better?
Why do you assume a woman's angry because she's on her period?
Why do women get moody on their period? Why do you assume a guy is angry because of testosterone or because of toxic masculinity?
Why do you think women that wear makeup are false advertising? We could say the same thing about your dick size.
Why do you think men who lie about where he works or how much money he makes is false advertising? We could say the same thing about the tightness of your twat. Yeah, that's literally how unbelievably stupid that last part sounded.
Why isn't it weird that there's a bunch of old white men sitting in a room making legislation about what I can and can't do with my body?
Why isn't it weird that this entire nation's discourse on gender equality is ran by old women who hate men over in the gender studies department? Why isn't it weird that women have so much more rights and privileges over their bodies than men, yet they still feel the need to complain as if they were the underdog? Why isn't it weird that women like to major in easy courses like gender studies, yet get angry at men who spent their entire life putting in the hard work to climb the political ladder then act as if they're too incompetent to represent half the human population just because of their Y chromosomes.
Do you have a coochie?
Why are straight guys so obsessed with lesbians?
Why are straight women so obsessed with hanging out with gay men?
How does it feel to get kicked in the balls?
Bad. Really bad. Excruciatingly painful. Imagine having two overly, highly sensitive eyeballs in between your legs and then someone goes and kicks it or crushes it. I figured I'd answer that one because, it was the only actual fair, non-loaded question on this entire list.
Or get tired of trying to be manly all the time.
Do you ever get tired of pulling shit tests on men all the time?
Why are you so afraid of gender equality?
Why were women so afraid of voting in favor of the Equal Rights Amendment? Everyone was all in favor for it until women decided they didn't want it. You know why? Because they realized that gender equality would not be a step up, but rather several steps down. Go ahead, look it up, you overprivileged brat.
Why do I deserve to be paid less than you?
In what world does 77 cents equal $1?
In what world does 68 cents equal $1?
Why does a woman who works less than me deserve to get paid just as much? Why do feminists still bitch about the wage gap even though it's been debunked a million times over the last 40 years? Why does a group that rightfully has the majority of the earning power not have the majority of the spending power? How does the most pampered and privileged group that has ever lived have the nerve to paint themselves as oppressed victims?
How is that fair?
Why are you intimidated by a woman who makes more money than you? That's awesome! More money!
Why do you almost exclusively date and marry men who earn more than you, and then wonder why men feel compelled to want to earn more? And why do you think it's sexist when a man earns more than you? That's awesome! More money!
Why are opinionated women seen as bitches?
When opinionated men are seen as bossy.
Why are opinionated men seen as egotistical, megalomaniacal, arrogant, pompous assholes when opinionated women are seen as strong, independent women?
Why aren't you speaking up when you hear your male friends behind closed doors make jokes that are offensive to women?
Why aren't you speaking up when you hear your female friends behind closed doors bashing men as they mock their penis size, mock their performance, and gossip about every goddamn single aspect about them that they don't like? And why did you agree to be a part of a video that's going to permanently be on YouTube for the whole world to see, that's basically one big offensive joke to men, and then hypocritically tell men that it's not okay to joke about women, even behind closed doors?
You're so afraid of recognizing your own privilege. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just recognize it and do something about it.
Why are you so afraid of recognizing your own privilege? Recognize and do something about the fact that you live longer, commit suicide far less often, get injured and die on the job way less often, get custody of the kids during custody battles way more often, get shorter and more lenient sentences for the same crime, have all the reproductive rights, have all the funding for domestic violence shelters and programs, have no one strapping you to a table when you're a week old cutting off a part of your genitals, can legally get away with paternity fraud, can legally get away with filing false allegations, and get the lion's share of health funding. It doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. Just check your fucking privilege. That's all.